In the US, we like to breed in cages. In Europe, they use the same or similar setup to these, but cabinet style, which is pretty much a little bit more enclosed on the sides. And then we have Australia. Well, those guys, let's just say they like to go big. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So glad to have you here like always. In today's video, we're going to be continuing our series of aviaries around the world. And in order to continue with this series, we're going to be traveling all the way to Australia, the land down under, and we're going to go to northern Queensland to go visit Tony. I met Tony online and he is an excellent breeder. His aviaries are just amazing. Before we get started, before I show you his aviaries, let me preface this and let you guys know that now I understand why it is that sometimes Australians, they get a little bit picky when they tend to see birds in cages like these. I know that at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that here in the US, we breed in cages. In Europe, they breed in cabinet style cages as well. And then in Australia, they breed in aviaries. And this is just generalizing. I understand here in the US, there are breeders who have large outdoor aviaries. As a matter of fact, I have a large outdoor aviary as well. And I understand that in Europe, the same thing. There are many breeders out there that have big flights and big outdoor aviaries. But as a general rule of thumb, in the US and in Europe, there are more breeders who work with birds in cages than in aviaries. And this is normal because of the lack of land. We don't have big lots of lands like they do in Australia. And not only that, but the temperature and the weather also dictates that many or most parts of the year, we have to bring the birds indoors in order to keep them safe from the colder climate. And this is something that happens very much in Europe and here in the States, in some of the northern parts of the States. But let's move forward. Let's head over to Australia. Let's take a look at some of Tony's birds. You guys are gonna love his aviaries. You're gonna love the birds that he keeps. It's amazing to see how big his setup is. I really hope that you guys enjoy the video. So without any further ado, let's head over to his aviary. Tony has been keeping birds for as long as he can remember. He started at 4 years old with some budgies thanks to his father, and 47 years later, he still enjoys this beautiful hobby. In his property, there are multiple buildings set up for his hobby. There are 2 complexes for breeding. Inside those 2 complexes, there are 2 large aviaries and then 12 smaller aviaries. There's also another building which is a bird room and a bug room. In this one, he has all the essentials needed to simplify the day-to-day job duties, like for example, a fridge, a sink, and a workbench. Now, if you keep birds and you have a large outdoor aviary like this one or a large bird room, these are things that will make your life so much more simpler if you keep them nearby. A fridge, for example, you're able to store the egg food and the perishable things that you need to keep temperature controlled for the bird. A sink is going to be very helpful when you're trying to clean food dishes, food cups, water cups, and so on, and you don't have to leave the bird room to get those things done. In a workbench, well, this is going to be very important because this is where you get all the prep work done before feeding the birds. You're able to put everything that you need on top of these things. So these are essential things in the day-to-day job duties for any bird keeper. Now in this building, he also has cabinet-style cages for sorting out birds or emergency accommodations, and 3 holding aviaries where he keeps birds that he plans on selling. At the moment, Tony is working with a good mix of species like yellow rumps, yellow-billed longtails, parsons, normals, fawns, and creams, red-faced starfinches, yellow-faced starfinches, red-faced parrotfinches, tricolor parrotfinches, European goldfinches, Napoleon weavers, red-cheeked cordon blues, blue caps, melbas, painted firetails, Cuban melodius, crimson wings, black rump double-barred, orange breast, maskgrass finches, pictorellas, strawberries, Gouldians, and green singers. So as you can see, his aviaries hold a very good mix of a different varieties of species of finches, both African and Australian. Building these large aviaries is no easy task, but with the help of his father and a very good friend named Pete, he was able to accomplish it. It took about 3 months to build the big aviaries and 6 weeks for the first aviary complex, and the bird room itself took a couple of months. Now, many of you may be wondering, what does he do during the winter months? How does he keep the birds warm? Well, luckily he lives in northern Queensland, which has a tropical climate, so he doesn't have to worry about the cold. It just mainly stays hot and humid in this area. One of the hardest species that Tony has worked with has been the blue-capped cordon blues. Keeping the hens alive has been an obstacle for him, but with a bit of patience and perseverance, he was finally able to put his first blue-capped chick on the perch this week. So congrats to you, Tony, for being able to finally succeed with that species. And that's what this hobby is all about. It's about patience, perseverance, and persistence. Sometimes it can be so difficult with some of these species to kind of get ahead with them, and you obviously end up disappointed many times when you end up losing the chicks, but with a little bit of patience and perseverance, you're able to get through those obstacles, and eventually at the end, you're rewarded with something like this. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit more than just patience and perseverance, and one of the key factors to getting some of these birds to breed is obviously the diet that we offer them. Tony, in his aviaries, he likes to offer the birds fresh food on a daily basis, once in the morning and then again in the middle of the day. Feeding takes about an hour to do all of the prep work and feed all of the aviaries. In the morning, the birds are fed sprouted seeds mixed with oils, breeder's aid and powder tummy right, then Passwell soft food mixes and another additive powder from Naturally for Birds. As far as live food goes, he gives a variety of different types of live foods like maggots, mealworms, termites that he collects from mounds that are close by, and moths that are caught every night with a moth catcher. And oftentimes, this is a very underlooked factor in the success with many species. There are a lot of breeders that try to have success with species that require live food without offering the live food. And this is something that we have to take into consideration with certain species, like for example, the melbas, the blue caps. There are those species that are a bit more insectivorous than others, and a source of live food is going to give them that bit of a push that they need to actually be successful at rearing the chicks, because many times it can be easy to get the birds to start nesting. But that's not the problem. The hard part is actually getting them to feed their young, and without that encouraging factor that the live food offers, it can be sometimes extremely difficult to get them to finish rearing those chicks and putting those chicks on the perches. Alright guys, now time for my favorite question. If you've been keeping up with these series, you know that anytime that we feature an aviary, I like to ask the person that is being featured what advice they have for others that are starting in this hobby. And that is one of the questions that I asked Tony, and this was his reply. He recommends that newcomers to the hobby find local people in their area that they can visit and have a look at their setup. There are so many factors to take into account before building your own aviary or bird room, like weather, temperature, humidity, varmint proofing, predators, and so on. All of these things and more need to be taken into account to ensure the safety of your birds. Ask a lot of questions and start with an easier to breed species in order to get a feel for this hobby before jumping into the harder species that may require special care that you're not aware of. This will help with minimizing so much heartache from losing birds and throwing money away. At the end of the day, the goal is to enjoy the birds we keep and make new friends in this hobby. First of all, Tony, thank you so much for taking the time to show us your beautiful birds and setup. I really hope that you continue to have an amazing year. Hopefully you continue to succeed with those blue-capped cordon blues and you're able to put more chicks on those perches. Like always, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to go into the description box of this video. If you're interested in following Tony, there's going to be a link to his Instagram profile in the description box of this video, and we'll also go ahead and put the link to his Facebook page. Remember to hit the like button, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And if you guys are interested in coming out in future videos like this one, showing your birds, remember to go to the comment section and leave me a comment. Go ahead and tell me what type of birds you're working with and what part of the world you're watching from. Like always, I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and we will see each other in the next video. Bye.